Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Wednesday, it's September 18th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And here's a quick look again at our daily chart. I always like to look at it first just to give us an idea of what it looks like. It looks like a big reversal day. We definitely got pushed up into the overbought territory again. Still not touching that upper line, but a lot of times you see you don't quite get there. It'll turn down or at least correct or something and give you a little relief before it pushes up again. We still haven't quite gotten that new high here. Are we going to make that new high? Or are we going to continue on? We could get another measured leg like this before it's over. Who knows? Um, Today was an FOMC day. They did drop interest rates by half a point. In the end, it doesn't look like the market liked it. But that could just be because the market's overbought right now. Uh, it did shoot up at first, and then it sold off, and then we recovered some of it into the close, not quite all of it, and we closed slightly lower from yesterday. Not much. Notice we're still bouncing off this midline and still above that midline. We're still well above the EMA too. Here's the EMA on this daily chart. So a correction here, and then possibly another move up wouldn't be out of the question. I was a little surprised that they dropped it a half a point. I figured it'd be a quarter point, but I've talked about this a lot. We're going into an election year, and I'm sure the White House is pressuring them to drop those rates and try to get um, the economy looking better and start moving, um, housing moving again, and those type things. So um, they need that for the election, and so they're gonna do whatever they can to keep this market propped up. You can count on it. Doesn't mean they can do it if things get bad enough. So there's a lot of ticking time bombs out there still. All the stuff going on in the Middle East and Ukraine, and with the Ukraine and Russia, and then us supplying Ukraine with war materials. Putin's threatened to attack the United States and declaring war on us if we supply them with um, uh, anything that they use inside Russian territory. And it sounds like we're planning on giving them stuff. We keep giving them money. I mean, anything could trigger this thing at any minute. And I don't know if you watch the news, but if you've seen the issue with the pagers and the cell phones where they blew up all the Hezbollahs. I guess I think that's how you pronounce that, but I'm not real big on the names over there pronouncing them. So if I mispronounce that, my mistake. But uh, I mean, that's the craziest. It's probably the most ingenious war tactic I've ever heard of. Um, whether or not it's ethical, that's another question. I'm not going down that road, but it was a pretty crazy idea. And it sounds like they've got something like 5,000 people injured and a bunch of them dead. And it's just crazy stuff going on. And any of that could ignite. They did it in Lebanon and Iran, and both of those places are upset with Israel. So, I mean, we could have a World War III trigger any day. And so they have that hanging over the market. You got an election hanging over the market. You got economic issues hanging over the market. There's just lots of things out there for this thing to be so bullish that could just send it sailing straight down in a blink of an eye. So just be aware of that. I didn't mean to get into a whole conversation about that, but it's all out there. You should be aware of it, and just make note that it's a possibility that it could happen at any time. So, but anyway, let's flip over to the 2,000 tick chart. We'll take a look at the price action at the chart. We'll go through the trades and see what we had today, and we'll wrap this day up. But let me flip over. And here it is, and you can see we had the FOMC news, the funds rates being announced at 1 o'clock. And you see they were expecting a quarter point, which is what most people thought, a nice, safe rate cut, but they cut it a half a point. So the market liked it momentarily, and then boom. the bottom kind of trended lower. So, and again, it could just because we're way overbought up here, and nothing more than that. We could rally again tomorrow. So it doesn't mean a whole lot, but don't take any trades. Always tell people this is the one news item. Most anything red, I wouldn't risk it. I'd be flat before that news item. But this one, I'd definitely be flat here because you can see, even though it went higher, it went lower as first as well. And so you can't get it right unless you have your stop way down here. You would have got stopped out no matter where you entered in here if you follow the rules. So just be flat on this stuff. Don't risk it. Even if you knew the news before it came out, you can't guarantee where the prices are going to go, because clearly they went lower before they went higher. And so you just never know. So be flat on that, no trades, and then just kind of wait till it settles down. It looked like maybe 15 to 17 minutes later you could probably start trying to trade safely again. But from there on, it's downhill, but it's very mixed. So this is hard trading. And really the only thing you can do is draw these micro trends and watch them play out and try to trade them. Otherwise, it's pretty difficult trading. So this is not a great trading day after about 10:30. So keep that in mind. But let's zoom in here and we'll work through these trades and wrap this day up. All right, 7 o'clock came just as we're kind of topping out here. We tried to go higher 3 different times here and failed. So that's a failure. That's a reversal. That's a failed second entry that's considered a reversal off of top of a range. So going short there is viable. Again, I marked this one green because it's not perfect. You'd like for it to be on the other side of the EMA, but it does close on the other side. This is a very advanced trade. 99% of you should not look at this trade. I have a handful of people out there that are skilled traders that still follow us. They're the ones that might take this trade. There's a reason I don't teach it in the manual, because if you try to trade these while you're trying to learn the basics, you're just going to screw yourself up and you're just going to delay your learning curve. And I say that all the time and people still try to trade them. Trust me, just stay away from these. These are for skilled traders, and if you're watching this video, you're probably not a skilled trader. You'll know if you are. You won't have to ask, and you won't have to guess. You'll know if you should be trading these or not. If you're not making money, you shouldn't be trading these. So that's the best way I know how to put it. But it's a nice move down, and if you catch that, you may be done for the day. Depends on what your goals are, what you're trying to accomplish. But then we run up, we get a first entry, second entry, and you get a closeout side and a new high. I didn't mark this one because we're right back in the range. It's kind of hard to know if we're going higher or lower. The original range lows were here, so we're back inside that here. I ended up adjusting them later during the day, morning. And it was actually, I think I adjusted this before the chart went out because we already had, it kind of was established by then, and you could tell this was the bigger range for the day, or the more accurate range for this part of the day. So there's a possibility of a short right there. It's not an ideal setup, but there's a trend up. We did have a break and a new low. Then there's a trend up, a break, and a new high. And I would count this as just congestion here. So it looks like a first entry, second entry. But even if you counted from here, it's first entry, second entry, and then a break of the channel, new high, and it turns back down. So there's still reasons to go short there either way. It drops down here, and then we're just going sideways. We do get a triple test right here, and it happens to be a second entry short. But we're not really looking for second entries in these little tight ranges, because you'll get chopped all to pieces trying to trade them. You're just basically trading range rules. Now this did make a higher high somewhat. I'm not sure if it's higher than that one, but maybe it is. But it closes well inside the range. I think this is more than safe to take. This one I didn't mark it out because really you've just got a double bottom there. Maybe you could say, okay, there's a triple test over here. So it's a possibility. I didn't like it in real time because I thought we we were trying to go lower here, and we were actually trying to go lower, and so I didn't feel comfortable taking that trade. But looking back at it, you probably could argue for it to be green. So if you took the trade, it's not. I would say I think you were being a little aggressive there, but I think it was it fits the rules. So and then of course we bottomed out down here, and you get a triple test, decent signal bar. Actually, I missed this one. You actually bottomed out. You make a higher low here after a failed break out of this pink one. And so you'd expect prices to snap back. And so I like that as a higher low. It comes back down. You make a triple test here. The problem I had with this one, the reason I didn't make it blue, it's close, but that looks really I mean, you can see those bars are side by side. They're not trending in any at all. They're side by side. This one did go lower and reverse out, so it looks like maybe you might have some traders trapped there. So maybe you go long there, and you see it does snap back. That's your concern, that it snaps back, and it may stop you out. But that was the beauty of this one going so much lower, is your supports here. There's probably a good chance maybe it can't go below that one even when it snaps back, and so maybe you take that trade. I wouldn't take this high or low because it's too neutral. It could still keep going sideways, but it does run up. I don't like going short there, and it comes down and it bounces two more times, and you get another bounce. It actually breaks lower and turns up. I don't think you want to trade that on the engulfing bar. I think there's a little too much stem. Let me zoom in a little more there. I think there's a little too much stem there. I think you want to wait till that closes, and you still got plenty of room to scalp out. And it is first entry, second entry. Runs back up, you get a little breakout, then you're just sideways here. I don't think that's bearish enough. I'd sit tight, and I don't see anything, unfortunately, all the way down until here. And you've already had a break here and a couple of swings down, but you can see this trend runs up. You get a close outside, new high, and a second entry short. I mean, it fits the rules. We're not quite back to the EMA, and the concern is we've already had a break and a couple of swings down. But this looks like it's played out, and there's plenty of room here, so maybe you risk that one. And then you do get two more swings down, and notice how we couldn't get back down to the low side, and we only got to the midline. There's a good chance this is probably played out now, so we're past due for time for prices to snap back. So maybe you're trying to pick these bottoms. Again, you're better off to wait on a higher low, but you don't always get them. And you see what this failed break lower turns into, this huge move. And if you can catch one of those, especially, and this is where you catch a runner a lot of times, I mean, it's off to the races. And you could trade this right into the news, and you wouldn't have to necessarily exit this one at noon. I would be, moving my stop up and tightening my stop, and as soon as you got a bearish bar outside that got a break, which would probably be right here, you'd probably exit. But you could have held this right into, almost 1 o'clock if it kept going. Just don't take any new trades because you might get stuck in one. Here you're well into the profit, so if you got stuck in a little tight range, it's no big deal. You just exit before the news comes out. And this bar right here is why we exit before the news comes out. And so nothing in this blue. This is all during the news hour. We're waiting on it to settle back, to trigger and then settle back down. And then maybe about 15 to 17 minutes in, you got this trend working up. You don't really have a trade here. Anyway, close outside, new high, moving down, close outside, new low, moving up. You do get notice you got a new low here. You got a trend working up. You get a close outside, and it makes that little jog up and makes a new high and turns down. I like that one to try to ride it back just to the EMA, but this is played out here. And you do have two legs up, and this was not quite as big, but this was probably still a little volatile from the news item. So I like this one. And again, your hope is just to ride it back to the EMA, and anything more than that's gravy. But you could have got a nice little move out of that. And you got a trend down, close outside new low, trend up, close outside new high, and by the counts, that is not a second entry, but there's a hidden second entry there, and so and it's a 2-bar matching high, so I kind of like that, gives it a little credence, but it's not a true second entry, so I did mark it green. Turns out to be another nice move down. You don't get a lower high or anything, and you just get first entries all the way down till you get a close outside new low, and there's no chance to enter that one. And this one runs up, close outside, and you get a first entry, pulls back, and you get a second entry long on a break above that bar right there. So I like that one. There's plenty of room to get out there. It doesn't end up going much further, but you're just looking for a retest of this high here, and there's plenty of room to that. And it does run up, makes that new high, and you get a triple test here, but you don't get a good enough signal bar on the triple test. And once again, it's a very nice move down on that triple test, but just no chance to trade it. And here you get a close outside there. There is a second entry short there, but look how flat that is. I would not risk that. There's not much room there. This would have worked, and that is a pretty good trend down. You would expect a retest to the low, and you see we did come back and retest it again here. Because that wasn't a real convincing test. I mean, we do make a new low, but just the way that's set up, I would not trade that second entry. I wouldn't even mark that one green. I wouldn't take that trade. So, but you get the breakout and then the lower high, nice signal bar. I like going short there, and that's a quick, easy move. And then we do bottom out finally, but you don't really get a chance to go long here. It just kind of takes off. And then you get a close outside. It tries to go higher once, twice. This was a repeat pattern. We saw this one somewhere else over here. I think it was this morning, but I'm not going to scroll over there. But there was a repeat pattern. It tries to go higher there. I think the other one closed just on the other side of the EMA, but since it's a repeat pattern, if it breaks lower there, we're probably going lower. But it tried to go higher 3 times there, and you get that failure when it turns lower there, and that's a quick, it trapped longs is what it did, because there's actually a second entry long there. And let me show you this, because a lot of people say, well, why didn't you go long there? But you have this trend coming down. That would be about the biggest reason. And so you'd need a triple test here. Since you didn't make a new low, you'd want it to come back and test it again to the low side and then try to go high. But instead, you get the trap to the long side. I guarantee you when that broke higher, but there's really no setup to go long anyway. So notice that's your signal bar, and you can't go long there. And this is just this is the next bar in line. So there's really no entry there anyway, but other than going short. And this turns out to be a nice move down. And we bounce here again at the same place. And we do get a higher low, but it's an inside bar. And I just don't really like it. I think you got to wait. And then you get a possible failure, but again, it's an inside bar, so it's just, you can't really trade that. And it runs up, and you do get a second entry short up here. In my opinion, this is a double bottom, so your trend starts here. So first entry, second entry. And you do get a close outside in the high and you in one bar. This is a pretty good move up, so I marked this green. You're being a little aggressive here, but there's reasons to like it. And then it's a, you're just looking to ride it back to the EMA. Maybe you get more out of it, maybe you don't. And it does end up going much lower after that, after the 2:30 hour. And of course, we don't take any trades after 2:30. So there it is. This is hard trading here. It really is, because you got to be able to find these individual trends, and not everybody can do that. When they're whipsawing like that, when they're real tight, that gets harder to do. You need a little more experience. So this was not an easy trading this afternoon. Here, this is not too difficult here, but this afternoon was a little more difficult for a lot of new people. So, but learn to trade it. I mean, get on the simulator. I say it all the time. I've been saying it a lot lately. Get on this. The way you get better. People ask me about discords, about forums. I mean, we have our forum, and I started that forum against my better judgment. I don't have a lot of time to spend in there, but I have a couple people to help me, and we can at least monitor the message in there. But in these discords and other places, and uh, skilled traders that are profitable do not hang out there, because if they're skilled and profitable, they're trading and making money. They're not hanging out in forums with losing traders. So you're not going to learn much there. You would be better off to spend the time you would spend in that Discord or in that forum sim trading and getting screen time experience and then studying those trades. That's what makes you better. I don't know how, other than taking a hammer and writing it on the end of the hammer and beating it into people's heads. I don't know how to get that across. And I've read you lots of emails where people tell me how they finally did it and how suddenly their trading improved 100%, or they suddenly turned a corner and got profitable. The key is experience. You can learn this strategy in 6 months, a year, give or take, depending on how quick you take up on it and how bad or how much you've learned of the wrong things before you came here. That has a lot to do with it too. You got to unlearn a lot of wrong stuff that's considered gospel in trading, but is 100% wrong. And when new people hear me say that, they don't know what I'm talking about. But one day, if you make it, you'll understand what I was telling you. There's so much stuff in trading that is considered the absolute gospel that is 100% wrong. It's made up by losing. A lot of these strategies they're losing strategies. So they have to come up with rules and stuff to keep from losing all their money, and that's where risk reward comes in. And I'm not saying that risk reward is not important to some degree, but it's not nearly important as what these other strategies. But they're beat into your head. But these other strategies are gambling strategies, and any gambler has to have risk reward ratios, or they go broke because they're losing. They lose more than they win, or they lose at least as much as they win. And without those, they go broke. Well, when you got a winning strategy and you win most of your trades, that's not as important. So you have to think about it in the right context. But anyway, the key to all of this is first you got to learn the strategy. Give yourself time to do that. But just because you learn the strategy and you get good at understanding this and picking it out after the fact, you still have to be able to do it in real time. And that is much harder than doing it after the fact. Now, after being able to do it after the fact is a good step. Don't get me wrong. That's why we do this every day. But the real key is, as you do it every day after the fact, you'll slowly start to see it in real time. And all of a sudden you'll see one in real time and you'll say, okay, I recognize that. I know I've studied that a bunch. I've seen it. And you take the trade and it's a quick winner and you get reinforced and you say, okay, I knew it. I saw it. And then you'll start to see another one and another one, and they start to come sooner and more often, and you start to get it wrong less and less. And the whole time you're building confidence because you're proving to yourself on the simulator it works. Because a lot of this is confidence, and if you don't have the confidence that it works and you're kind of guessing, then you're gonna have a hard time pulling the trigger, and then you're gonna pull the trigger and be wrong. So I mean, it never fails. You'll pass up all the best trades, and you'll get frustrated, and then you'll finally say, okay, well this one looks close enough, and you'll take it, and that one will fail. And you just discourage yourself, and you get that negative mentality. And trading, I mean, you'd be surprised, not just me, but people that have learned this strategy, how many winning trades in a row people can get. It's absurd how many. I mean, I've had as many as 50 or 60 winning trades in a row. And people will tell you that's not possible. But it's not that hard to get 4 ticks once you understand what prices are doing and where to enter. We're only trying to get 4 measly ticks. Occasionally we get a runner that really pays us. But the basic of every trade is 4 ticks. And it's not that hard to get 4 ticks, even when, especially when it's real volatile, because you get 20-point tick bars, and that scares people to death. But that just makes it easier to get you 4 ticks because the bars are so big and the moves are so big and fast. So anyway, I'm not going to get off on another tangent today. I'm going to stop it right here. We're going to wrap this day up. I hope you had a good trading day. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday. We'll wrap up our week tomorrow. I don't do chart lessons on Friday, so Monday through Thursday if you're new. But we'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.